Resilience Reset. We are going to be talking about adding joy into your life, little bits of joy, and or big bits of joy. To be little. All right. So you can have some more laughter, be happier, and feel a sense of more fulfillment. That ultimately is what I mean when I say joy. So, those times when you just feel like, oh my gosh, this is bliss. This is beautiful. I'm so fortunate and lucky to be alive. And the challenge is that we have challenges going on around us, and they may be internal. And so it's easy to think that because something sucks out there, that maybe we can't be joyful in the midst of that. And I am living proof, I like to think, that you absolutely can be. And it's a skill that we can all develop and really harness. Now, I do want to say that apparently, as I was coming on live, I got a notification that the chat function may not be working. So if I can't see your chat, I apologize, but definitely put it in there and I will come and respond afterwards for sure. So, all right, let's go through my ideas on how to create more joy in your life. Where are we going to start? I think we're going to start with the concept of silver lining thinking. Now, silver lining thinking is not all rose-colored glasses. It's not, power of positive thinking, and we're going to pretend that there's nothing wrong. Silver lining thinking is seeing the possibility of something good in the midst of something negative. It's also a habit. It's a muscle. So if we, like, for example, silver lining thinking, I use it a lot when somebody upsets me. And I'm like, what was their intention? And so I choose to believe that a person's intention is good rather than negative. And I'll tell you, choice, and it is a choice, by the way, whether or not their intention is bad or good doesn't actually matter. It's how you perceive the situation. And so that for me has been really a great way. And then, time may choose or may prove differently. Time may prove that they're an absolute. And if it does, then you learn your lesson and you move forward and you, adjust accordingly. But going around thinking everybody is and that everybody has malintent can be just disruptive to your level of joy. And so I'm going to challenge you to be a silver liner thinker. And that means, so negative situation, okay, what's the reality here? I don't want to gloss over that. What are the potential positive outcomes of this situation? I love when people talk about COVID and say things that was really great about this is ... I've spent more time with my family. I've revisited the fact that I don't want to be on the road 200 nights out of the year. I have learned all my technology. I have come into a new way of doing something. I found a new hobby. That's an example of silver lining thinking. And we can pull it into our day to day because having that can actually make us feel more joyful. Greg, I've got a hello from you, which means to me that those who are on LinkedIn, chat box is working, at least there. So great. Awesome to have you here. The next thing is to add more joy to our lives is to, I've written down, look up. Now, what do I mean by that? So often, and I notice this with myself, I'll be walking, or walking up the sidewalk, and I've got this beautiful Lake Erie that is just waiting there and majestic. And I'm looking at my phone or I'm looking at the sidewalk and, watching my step where I'm going or looking at the houses and waving to people, when really all I have to do is look over and up and go, wow, like, oh my God, because there is nothing like nature that can show us how majestic our world is. And when we really, truly soak that in and go, oh my God, that's gorgeous. Like I was watching them as I was out there this afternoon, like just watching it's quite rainy here, which is why I was like, people need a little more joy. Let's be honest, myself included, because I was feeling like really gloomy, and I'm like, okay, what advice would you give somebody? And I'm like, I'll put that on the resilience reset. But as I was out there and I was, just looking and going, oh my God, look at those clouds. And then I think one of the other things we can do with it is like a leaf falls in front of me, and you may think I'm silly for all of this, but you know what? It's these little moments that can add up to create more and more a sensation of fulfillment and joy and peace and connectedness. And like I don't think it's great, but like a leaf falls, and I'm like, oh my God, that leaf's life is over. Like it's the only leaf that will ever be shaped like that. Like, it's like just get lost in some of this, the miracles of nature, and that can really bring a sense of peace and joy and fulfillment, and also perspective. Which brings me to my next point on how you can add more joy into your life is perspective. Sometimes when we're going through something that's really challenging and we're feeling the like, things are just not going well, it's hard to see, the saying is the forest through the trees. Like we can't see the big picture. And so we want to train our brains, our minds, to force ourselves to look back and adjust and give like some thought to the bigger picture. Because when we're in the middle of it, not so much. But if we can pull ourselves and make that a habit, it can definitely make a huge difference in our level of joy. All right, so and perspective, not when something sucks, it's not forever. Understanding the cyclical nature of our lives, right? I remember when my dad was alive and I was young, and I didn't understand it then, but I do now. And he loved the song, There's a Season for Every Purpose Under Heaven, which is not the title of the song. You know the song I mean, like, I don't sing. I do sing. I shan't sing to you for every season. Oh, somebody tell me what the song is. Turn. And there's a time for every purpose under heaven. That's the whole point, right? Is like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. Like we have to be willing to accept the roller coaster that is our lives. And hopefully the highs aren't too high and the lows are, even if they are, you know what? We can embrace that and be really grateful for that experience. But again, with the perspective, knowing that when things aren't going well, there's always going to be an upside. And so finding that silver lining thinking, going back to the beginning, that can be really helpful because we can actually get in there. We can find that upside a little bit faster. Another great way to add more joy in your life is to take care of your health. This is something I'm really on a kick with right now. Drinking my water. Although you know me, I'm always a hydrator. Eating healthy on the 75 hard challenge, but I'm surprised. People have always said, oh, exercise. And I always am like those people. I'm like, oh, those exercise people. I'm not one of those people. I'm becoming one of those people. I think I may now be one of those people because I notice, I'm exercising twice a day for 45 minutes. And sometimes they're hard workouts, sometimes they're easy workouts, doesn't matter. It's just moving my body. And one of them is always outdoors, which is great because it connects me to nature and makes me feel very connected and peaceful. But it's fascinating when I go for a 45-minute run, and I have to say walk run because I don't want to give you the illusion that I'm some power runner. Like I'm just not ready for the marathon yet, let's be honest, but I'm working on it. And actually running a marathon is not what I'm working on. I have no goal to run a marathon. Thinking about the Tough Mudder though. Everybody wants to do that next September. Call me crazy. That one may be, but I'm thinking about it. Anyway, the one in Toronto. I digress. But exercise, the endorphins of getting your blood running, feeling your heart pumping, like actually feeling the like boom, 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 boom. Doesn't feel like that. It doesn't sound like that. I think. Feeling that their pulse is like, yeah, like it makes you feel alive. Now it didn't at the beginning. At the beginning, exercise exhausted me. Or it like, it didn't do the thing everybody always said it does. And I've exercised over the course of my years, of course, like, I mean, I do. But lately it's just been like, oh yeah, that makes me feel really great. And so when we feel really great, it's a lot easier to, pull bits of joy into our lives. Next thing I'm going to suggest is you rewrite the story. So if you're not feeling a lot of joy in your life for whatever reason, or you've lost connection with that playful side that can feel joy, or the person who can just, like, if you're so caught up, well, actually, we'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to write it down so I don't forget. Okay. All right. But what we want to do, we want to rewrite your story. So believe you are someone who feels joy, who can see the joy. Purposefully ask yourself at the end of the day, what did I do today that was a moment of joy? And, having that gratitude practice is so incredibly powerful, right? Because once we have a gratitude practice and we start seeing things and we're grateful for the good, the bad, the in-betweens, we start to train our brain to look for things to be positive. Actually, it doesn't even have to be positive. It just, not thrilled with the concept of, like, airy-fairy power of positive thinking. I mean the gratitude of, like, wow, how blessed am I for that? And even when it's a problem, you know what? How blessed am I that that's the problem I have to deal with? Here in our world, those of us who can tune in on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube to watch, a resilience reset at 3:15 p.m. Like, that's pretty cool, pretty blessed. So having that gratitude practice, but going to the point of rewriting your story, if you're finding that you're someone who's drained, if you're not getting a lot of joy into your life, then I'm going to challenge you to look at the stories that are swirling around in your head. Are you so hooked on to the negative storyline that you can't see the joy in the midst of your circumstances? If that's the case, then we gotta rewrite. And if you follow my work for any period of time, you may have heard me say before, we've got to give your internal voice an external presence. And what I mean by that is we got to take those thoughts that are in your head and put them out on paper. Now, you can burn the paper, you can rip the paper up, you can keep the paper in a journal, it doesn't matter. It's like we've got to be able to look at it in black and white so that we can be objective about the stories that we need to tell, or that we are telling ourselves. And your lack of joy may be hidden in those stories. Okay? And the last, oh no, I've got two more. So one more. First, before I give you the last one. Understanding that all of the challenges you face, all of your stuff, all the tasks, all the obstacles that you need to solve, those are external to who you are. Now, so often we identify with all the external. And I think that if we're looking to up our joy quotient, then we've got to separate ourselves from all the stuff that's going on and recognize that we are our own self. We are our entity, an entity that we can choose how we allow all of these pieces of the puzzle that interact in our lives to come into our heart, into our mind, and into our soul. And so that separation and understanding that you are not your circumstances. Your circumstances are your circumstances, and you are you. And so this, like, how you join those two together is my interpretation of the word resilience. And all of this work, like, that's the human experience, right? This divide between the two. How do we not let them, like, be totally intertwined? Lots of sound effects in this one today. But that's your power, to recognize that you're a being independent of all of the chaos around you, or the calm around you, doesn't matter. We get to be a part of it, but we choose how it impacts our heart and our mind. Well, thank you very much, Anita. Awesome to have you here with us. So that's great. Okay, and here's the last piece of the puzzle. I think if you want to add more joy into your life, I'm going to challenge you by asking you this question. Are you so caught up in the busy, 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 busy that you don't have time to notice the potential moments of joy? And if you are, then we've got to reevaluate that. Now, you may want to reevaluate my book, Take Back Your Weekends, Stress Less, Do More, Be Happier, because that's what it's all about. I think this concept in our society that the busy is best culture is literally stealing joy from our lives. If we're so busy, 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 unless you're busy, busy, busy doing things that are creating joy for you and are inspiring a sense of peace and joy and fulfillment inside your heart, then that is just robbing you of the things. And like you think about your family, your friends, the people who you're interacting with, like that's what matters the most, right? We want to be busy enjoying those times with them, not on our phones, not looking down on the sidewalk, looking out at the beauty that's all around us. And so I think, anyway, there's my ideas on how to create more joy in your life, little moments. Because there's a lot of, it's actually really, really easy to not be joyful, would be my thinking. I actually think it's easier not to be joyful than it is easier not to be joyful. Yeah, it's a double negative sort of what I'm talking about. But to choose to add joy into your life, everything is better. You're better, your relationships are better, your peacefulness is better. We don't like, we can't be joyful all the time. We can, depends how we define joy. But we can find these bursts within the mundane, but only if we're looking for them. Only if we look up at the sky and go, oh my God, look at that cloud forming. That's fascinating. Greg's got a comment. Let's bring it up. I encourage anyone to slow themselves for a walk. You'll be amazed at what you discover and can be thankful for. And you know what I love about this? Slowing down is what you're saying, and going for a walk. It doesn't have to be a power walk, but walking and not looking at the ground. And even better, walking and not looking at the phone, which I catch myself doing, right? And it's like, no, Allison, put it in your pocket. Sure, you've got your music on and you've got your timer that says, oh, end work, end rest, and work and rest. But like, put it in the pocket, stop looking at LinkedIn when you're doing it, or Facebook or Instagram, and just be noticing what's grateful and going through the stories of the day. Yeah. Great comment. Thank you. All right. Well, listen, there has been the Resilience Reset today. And I hope if you got something in the comment, let me know what your favorite tip is. I think I had 8 in there. And I don't know how many there were. I don't know. But it looks like about 8. 7.5. Yeah, I'm so grateful for you. And like, the reason I do this is because it brings me joy. Whenever I have the ability to just spew content and share ideas, and that I hope are going to inspire and empower others to, be less stressed and do more and be happier, then that lights my heart up and makes me sing. So thank you for being here to give me a platform in order to do that. And I hope for you that you have an absolutely beautiful day and steal some moments of joy away from the vortex, the spinning vortex of stress. All right, until tomorrow, may you stress less, do more, and be happier.